ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So welcome to our Saturday morning session. We shall continue on our journey of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, and we will take verses 45 onwards today. Now, just to recall briefly, in the chapter 17th and 18th, Lord Krishna has extensively dealt with Sat, Raj, and Tam Gun. These three tendencies have been predominant theme in the chapter 17 and 18. We saw that how Shraddha can be in three parts. We also saw the food, bhojan, yajna, tap, dan. All these could be in three different dimensions. Dimension of sattva, dimension of raj, and dimension of tam. Similarly, he said even to abandon the task or to abandon the action, karma tyag, even karma tyag can be for three reasons, even that. And then he says Gyan can also be into three different versions. Karm, Karta, all these actually Buddhi and Sukh, all these which are very essential parts of our body mind system, they can be reflected, they can pursue their activities in three directions propelled by the triguna of nature. So that is very important part in these two chapters. So we will deal with this in slight detail today because there are reasons for that in the following verses. So we will start with verse number 45. The verse number 45 says, अपने अपने स्वाभाविक कर्मों में तत्परता से लगा हुआ मनुष्य भगवत प्राप्ति रूप परम सिद्धि को प्राप्त हो जाता है। अपने स्वाभाविक कर्मों में लगा हुआ मनुष्य जिस प्रकार से कर्म करके परम सिद्धि को प्राप्त होता है, उस विधि को तू मेरे से सुन। So he classified the entire humanity into four varnas, that is Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And every varna has its natural actions, swabhavik karma, the activities which should be performed by these people in their natural format, not going against their nature. And that is what he says, that if you are engaged in those activities which are part of your innate nature, then you are engaging with the Almighty in the right direction. That is what he has suggested, that we should not go against our nature. We have been given a particular nature at the time of our birth. That nature has given us certain qualities which we need to follow. And if we follow those qualities in very simple way, like the river follows its course, we follow the course of our qualities, then that is an activity which will actually lead to our emancipation, to our moksha. Now, कर्मों में तत्परता से लगा हुआ मनुष्य, that you should be engaged with all your might in that direction. स्वे स्वे कर्तव्य भिरत सिंसभी लभते न रह, that you should be engaged in those natural directions with all your body, mind, and with all your energy so that you reach the Supreme. So, this is very important, which he has said here. And then in 46, he will explain it further. जिस परमेश्वर से संपूर्ण प्राणियों की उत्पत्ति हुई है और जिससे यह समस्त जगत व्याप्त है, उस परमेश्वर की अपने स्वाभाविक कर्मों द्वारा पूजा करके मनुष्य परम सिद्धि को प्राप्त हो जाता है। यत प्रवर्तिर भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततम। Now, two things very important here. That the entire living beings, whatever species they may belong to, their origin lies in the Supreme. They have their origin in the Supreme. And the Supreme pervades the entire universe. This is also said in variety of forms in Upanishads. Like very first verse of Isavasya Upanishad says, Isavasya midam sarvam, that the Supreme is pervading the entire universe. ईसा का सब जगह निवास है, ईसावास्य मिदम सर्वम। इस संसार के हर कोने में उसका निवास है, हर परमाणु में उसका निवास है। दिस इज व्हाट ही हैज सेड हियर, सर्वमिदं ततम, that he is pervading the entire universe. This was also said earlier in verse number 7 of chapter 7, where he very, in a very profound language, he explained. The verse reads like this. Mattam parantap jnant kinchit dasti dhananjay मयि सर्वमिदं प्रोतम सूत्रे मणिगणा ईव। हे धनंजय, मुझसे भिन्न दूसरा कोई भी परम कारण नहीं है। That everything originates from me. There is no other region from where the humanity or any other species of life originates. यह जगत, संपूर्ण जगत, सूत्र में सूत्र के मणियों की सदृश मुझ में गुथा हुआ है। This is what he said in verse number 7 of chapter 7. That everything is woven into the Supreme. There is nothing which is beyond that. There is nothing which does not belong to him. So he is pervading the entire universe. This has been again said in verse number 46 here. So we have to memorize, we have to internalize this learning that this whole universe is pervaded by him, and like the waves, we appear, we disappear, our naam roop, that is name and forms, come, and then the name and form disappears. But that consciousness which is eternal, that remains like the ocean. The waves keep coming, taking a particular shape and name. They come and they go. This is how this universe runs. So this is what he is explaining here again in verse number 46. Then the second part of this verse, he says, उस परमेश्वर की अपने स्वाभाविक कर्मों द्वारा पूजा करके मनुष्य परम सिद्धि को प्राप्त हो जाता है। Now what Lord is saying is very simple, that follow your natural course, the course which is ingrained in your body mind system since your birth. Follow that natural course, don't go against that. And then if you continue to follow that, then you will be doing worship to the Supreme. नेचुरल कर्मों से अ, उस परमात्मा की पूजा होगी. So if we follow our innate qualities, if we follow our innate propensities in a simple way, without trying to be clever, without trying to be cunning, without going against our own inner self, then we will be worshipping the Supreme. So it basically means that there should be no contradiction inside our own self. The self should have a uniform natural behavior. If there are contradictions, if there's artificial, tendencies, then it means we are violating our natural propensities. So the natural propensity, or we can call it swabhav, we can call it sanskar, we can call it the tendencies that arise from the three gunas. So all the four varnas, they should follow their natural tendencies. They should not go against what their nature dictates. If a person who is not interested in business, if he starts doing business activity, he will not succeed and he will deceive himself. Similarly, a person who is not brave and cannot participate in a war or cannot be a security to the society, and he tries to do that, then it will again be a deception. It will not work properly. A person who is not knowledgeable and he starts delivering sermons to the society, again he will be deceiving himself. So we should follow our natural tendencies, our natural course. So this is very profound verse here, that the whole universe arises from the Supreme. The Supreme pervades the entire universe, and you can worship the Supreme by your natural activities which are ingrained in your personality, and then you will attain the Supreme. It's like the river following the course naturally and reaching the ocean. It's exactly the same way. So this verse is a very profound verse which we should follow. Now, the next verse uh, has been talked about a lot, and it has been greatly misunderstood by everybody, and it has been quoted wrongly. So let's read this verse or the meaning. अच्छी प्रकार आचरण किए हुए दूसरे के धर्म से गुण रहित भी अपना धर्म श्रेष्ठ है, क्योंकि स्वभाव से नियत किए हुए स्वधर्म कर्म को करता हुआ मनुष्य पाप को नहीं प्राप्त होता. नाउ हियर देयर आर टू वर्ड्स. अच्छी प्रकार आचरण किए हुए दूसरे के धर्म से गुण रहित भी अपना धर्म श्रेष्ठ है. श्रेयान सर्वधर्मो विगुण, that even if your own innate propensities, here dharma does not mean what is understood by the word. It is not Hindu or Muslim or Christianity or Judaism or any other religion. It is not in that sense which is understood. Here dharma basically means your niyat karma, your innate propensities, your innate qualities that arise from the four varnas and the three gunas of nature. Those qualities are your dharma, not the dharma which is understood outside in the world. That is how this verse is misunderstood. It basically tells us that we should follow our own innate qualities all the time, and then we will be following our dharma. That is our swadharma. Swadharma is our innate qualities that arise from the Varna and the three gunas of nature. So, whatever our natural qualities are, we should follow them. And if we go against them, then we are inviting trouble for ourselves. Because then we are going against our inner self. And if we are fighting against our inner self, it's like a river trying to climb the Mount Everest rather than following the course which leads to the ocean. So the river will never be able to climb up the Mount Everest, nor will it reach the ocean. So that is the way this verse should be understood. This verse is not in the sense of dharma which is understood today in the world, because the real meaning of dharma in our shastras is things which are done with the goodness, with righteousness, with justice, and in accordance to your inner self, in accordance to the simplicity of your inner self, for doing the right thing at the right time for greater good of the society is actually dharma. So we should understand this very properly. This should not be misunderstood. So this is why I thought I will go into this. Now, there are two more verses which are important here. In fact, a few more. Verse number 13 of chapter 7 and 14 of chapter 7. Now, the verse number 13 of chapter 7 says, गुणों के कार्य रूप सात्विक, राजस और तामस, इन तीन प्रकार के भावों से ये सारा संसार, प्राणी समुदाय मोहित हो रहा है। इसलिए इन तीनों गुणों से परे मुझ अविनाशी को नहीं जानता। Now, these three gunas, they actually constitute the three pillars of Maya, which has been explained in verse number 14 of chapter 7. That these three pillars of Maya keep deluding us all the time. We are under the influence of these, and we keep rotating in this world because of that. And that was the purpose of my posting that, short talk by Osho, in which he said that you started having a cat because your clothes were bitten by some mice in your house. So somebody suggested that why don't you keep a cat so that the mouse would disappear or the cat will eat the mouse. So he thought it was a good idea. So he kept a cat, and she ate the mice. The mice disappeared. But then the new problems came up. Then he needed some milk for the cat every day. So he had to arrange the milk. The villager said, we don't have more milk to give you every day. So you better keep a cow. So he started keeping a cow. Then they said, we don't have a lot of fodder for the cow every day. So you better cultivate the fodder. You have a land. So you do that cultivation. So each activities kept prolonging and, keep enlarging in that process. So that is the engagement we have in the world. One thing leading to another. You like somebody that she's a, beautiful girl, or he's a handsome guy. I should get in love. Then the love leads to the marriage. Marriage leads to the children. Children leads to their education. Then their education leads to their employment. Then their employment leads to, their marriages, then their grandchildren. So these are the cycles which keep prolonging in this world. This is the process of Maya, which keeps us entangled in this world. So that particular short talk by Osho Each basically, tells us, indicates us that how we remain engaged in this world. And our engagement keep increasing with every single activity. So the disengagement has to begin at some stage when we stop taking, these kind of engagements. And that is what Lord Krishna said at one stage, that vairagya and abhyas. These are the two things which we have to adopt in life to disengage from Maya. Because this Maya is very powerful instrument. He has said in the verse number 14 in chapter 7, क्योंकि यह अलौकिक अर्थात अति अद्भुत त्रिगुणमयी मेरी माया बड़ी दुष्कर है. कृष्णा हिमसेल्फ इज सेइंग मेरी माया बड़ी दुष्कर है, परंतु जो पुरुष केवल मुझको ही निरंतर बसते हैं वे इस माया को उल्लंघन कर जाते हैं और संसार से तर जाते हैं. सो दिस इज इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट दीज थ्री गुणाज they constitute three important pillars of Maya. And we should try and disengage from these pillars slowly. The general tendency is moving from tamogun to rajogun, from rajogun to sattvagun, and then from sattvagun going beyond all the three gunas. So that is why I think Lord Krishna has devoted the chapter 17 and 18 to this entire process, how this Maya or how these gunas impact every single part of our body. They impact our intellect, they impact our mind, they impact our karma, they impact even our happiness. Everything is impacted by them. So we must understand this impact of these karmas. That will enable us slowly to try and disengage from there. So here in verse number 47, Lord Krishna has very rightly said that you should follow your innate qualities, your innate tendencies. Don't unnecessarily imitate others and try to pretend which you are not. Once you start that exercise of pretending, then you are going in a wrong direction. Every individual is a universe in himself or herself. And therefore, if we start imitating others, we are leaving our own innate qualities and trying to following others. And that is what this verse 47 means. It doesn't necessarily, it doesn't actually mean at all in the context of the religion which is understood today, dharma which is understood today. Because at the time when Lord Krishna spoke these, in fact, all these dharmas did not exist at all. There was only one dharma, which is Sanatan Dharma, which means that people must do the correct activities. The correct conduct was the basic barometer of human behavior at that time. So this is how this verse number 47 is very important. But in this context, I would also like to go to something else here. Uh, you know, Dharma is a actually, very complex subject. And to understand Dharma is, I wanted to go to 2, 3 verses. Let me try if I can find them here. I have those verses somewhere. Yeah, they should be here. Okay. Now, actually, there has been a big debate in Mahabharata on the word dharma. What is dharma? Now, I want to read out the meaning of two or three verses, which are very profound. It is one is in Anusasan Parv of Mahabharata, chapter 142, verse number 28. It reads like this, it says like this: Who has for all beings kindness and compassion, and who has the sense of unity to all beings, he alone is in unity with Dharma. Now, who is kind and compassion for all beings, all that exist in this universe, and who finds a unity in this entire universe, which is also said, which was said by Lord Krishna earlier when he talked about Sattvic Gyan. He said that those who see unity in the entire universe, the entire diversity is pervaded by unity. Only those people can understand knowledge properly. They are Sattvic in knowledge. This is exactly here. The Sattva Guna or the Sattvic tendencies will enable you to see that unity, that the Almighty pervades the entire universe. And the diversity is only a manifestation of that university, like the waves are manifestation of that, water in the ocean. So this is what Anusasan Parv, chapter 142, verse 28 said. Then in the same Anusasan Parv, chapter 142, verse number 32 says like this: A person who is forgiving, self-disciplined, has conquered anger and does not cause pain to others, is in unity with Dharma. Unity with Dharma is who is forgiving, who is self-disciplined, has conquered his senses, particularly anger, and is not causing any pain to others, is in unity with Dharma. So these are some of the qualities which are called what is Dharma. The meaning of dharma was like this in the ancient time. It is not like, Islam or Hinduism or Christianity. That is not the meaning of dharma in our Shastras. In our Shastras, dharma means doing the correct thing, doing the right thing. Let me read out one more from Shanti Parv of Mahabharata, chapter 262, verse number 9. Who has in his heart always the well being of others, and is wholly given in acts, thoughts, and in speech to the good of others, he alone knows what dharma is. So, this is the meaning of dharma. This is actually the real meaning of dharma, not what is understood today. So, that is how this verse number 47 of chapter 18 is grossly misunderstood in today's world. It basically means that our conduct must be correct. It should be in the well-being of the entire humanity. We should be able to see unity in the diversity, and whatever action we do, they should not hurt or harm others. So this is what the verse number 47 should be linked to dharma, not with Hindu, Muslim, or Christian and Judaism, not that way. Then he said that स्वभाव से नियत किए हुए स्वधर्म रूप कर्म को करता हुआ मनुष्य आपको प्राप्त नहीं होता. So he is not doing anything wrong if he is doing his natural innate activities in his life. So this is what we should do. Then we go to verse number 48. अतएव हे कुंती पुत्र, दोष युक्त होने पर भी सहज कर्म को नहीं त्यागना चाहिए, क्योंकि सभी कर्म किसी न किसी दोष से युक्त हैं. जिस तरह से धुएं से अग्नि हमेशा ढकी रहती है, उसी तरह से सभी कर्म किसी न किसी दोष से युक्त है. You cannot find fire without smoke. Smoke will be there in less or more quantity. Quantity would differ, but smoke will definitely be there if there's fire. If the fire is burning properly, then smoke would be very little. But if it is not burning properly, it would be very high. So, all the actions in this world we perform, they have certain those, they have certain defects. Without defect, you cannot find any karma. It is inevitable. The defect is inevitable part of all karmas. And therefore, we cannot avoid doing those inevitable actions which also have certain wrong things embedded them in themselves. So this is what Lord Krishna says, that अगर आपका सहज कर्म, if your innate qualities, even if they have certain defects, even if they have certain deficiencies, even if they are not perfect, even then you should not abandon them. Because there is no karma, there is no action which is absolutely perfect. As the fire is invariably covered with some smoke, similarly, all the actions are invariably associated with some defect. So, this is very important here, that because of that fear of defect, if we abandon our innate prescribed karma, which are part of our sanskar, which have come to us because of our varna and our trigunas, then we are not doing good thing. We are going against our own self, and then there would be conflict in ourself, and that conflict will not be good for us. So we should do things which are without any conflict inside. That inside conflict will disappear if you do things naturally in the natural way. So this is these 4 5 verses are extremely important. How we can mold our own action in the natural way. Simplicity is the law of nature. Don't try to make things complex. The more complex things you make, the more life becomes more and more complicated. It's exactly like the story of cat which Osho said. Then the life becomes more and more complicated. So this is verse number 48. Now let's go to verse number 49. सर्वत्र आसक्ति रहित बुद्धि वाला, स्पृहा रहित और जीते हुए अंतःकरण वाला पुरुष सांख्य योग के द्वारा उस परम नैष्कर्म सिद्धि को प्राप्त होता है. नैष्कर्म सिद्धि, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वर्ड हियर. सो सर्वत्र आसक्ति रहित, असक्त बुद्धि सर्वत्र, दैट इज द वर्ड इन संस्कृत. असक्त बुद्धि सर्वत्र, जितात्मा विकत स्पृह, दैट आत्मा को जिसने इनर सेल्फ को जीत लिया है. नैष्कर्म्य सिद्धि परमा, दैट ही अचीव्ड निष्कर्मता को प्राप्त हो जाता है. नानन्य नादि गच्छति. नाउ हाउ डू यू अटेन निष्कर्मता? Niskarmta is extremely important. It is important because once you attain Niskarmta, then you do not sow a seed for future birth. Then you are completely established in non-action, and therefore there is no seed and no rebirth. Then you are attaining liberation for good. You are going in union with the Supreme. Then you become Yog Yuk. Then you become one with the Supreme. Now how that is possible? निष्कर्मता को कैसे प्राप्त हो जाए? उसमें the two things. One is सर्वत्र आसक्ति रहित, that you don't get attached to anything in this world. There's no need to get attached to anything in this world. You do things like you do in a theater. In a theater, people play the role of Ram and Raman and Sita and Lakshman, and then they come back to their original roles. Now, if they remain attached to that role in the theater, that I am Rama and start believing that I am Rama, then that would be madness. So, this is the madness we get in the world by attaching ourselves. That I'm father here, mother here, I'm the boss here, and I'm the employee here. We have so many what we call mukhotas, or so many hats on our head. And if we start attaching with those hats, then you will be what you call pulled and pushed from different directions. So this pull and push we must avoid. We are like yesterday I was somewhere and people asked somebody else, "Ki, what is your age?" So I simply said, "What is your body's age? Because you are ageless, but what is the age of your body?" So the body and the name, they come into this world, they are given. Then when you go, then people don't say that, once somebody dies, we simply say like, "I die," then this is a Gauri Shankar has gone. So the Gauri Shankar has gone, my body remains there. Similarly, the, the essence is the consciousness which is gone. The body is not the essence. The body is only an instrument which was given during that period of life. So that body is gone, not me. The me is there all the time. So similarly here, we should not get attached, because if you get attached, then you have to come back to fulfill that attachment. That's the problem. So sarvatra asakti rahit buddhi wala. We should not get attached to any role. We perform whatever role we have to perform with all our good intention, but should not get attached to it. That is first thing. Then spraha rahit or jeete हुए अंतःकरण वाला. Now अंतःकरण, the inner instrument is made of three things, primarily four rather. That is man, buddhi, ahankar and chit. These are the four parts of the inner instrument. Now, those instruments should not remain attached to anything else. If they remain attached, then again you have to come back to fulfill that attachment. So, this is what Lord Krishna is saying, that if these four instruments and your body, if they are not attached to anything in the world, you take this world as a lila, you perform your job as a lila, as you do in a theater. You have been sent into this theater, perform this role as an actor, and then go back. Then you will be achieving niskarmta. Then you are achieving zero action. And that zero action means no seed. No seed means total liberation, not coming back into this world. So this is what Lord Krishna has said here in verse number 49. Preceding that verse is that we should perform our natural actions, our actions which are ingrained. We should not go against them. And while performing those actions, we should not remain attached to anything in this world. We should not allow our inner instrument to be impacted by any of those things in the world. Then you will achieve niskarmta, then you will achieve zero action result, which would actually enable you to unite with the Supreme, to unite with the universal consciousness, and you will be absolutely liberated. So these 4 or 5 verses, they are extremely important. In fact, every verse of Bhagavad Gita is important. But since this is the concluding chapter, and Lord Krishna is concluding in such a way that he has explained the Trigunmai Maya in so many ways, how it impacts us. And now he says that in order to Get out of that Maya. This is how you should act. This is how you should behave. And that behavior is contained here. So, firstly, the Varnashram system is an inevitable thing in this world. It is not based on the family you are born, it is based on the qualities with which you are born. The abilities and the qualities constitute the basis of these four varnas. And then these varnas are also impacted by three gunas of nature. So these two put together give you certain innate qualities. You should be faithful to those innate qualities, perform your action according to that in a very simple manner. Like river flows from mountain to the ocean. Same way we should flow with no complications. So we reach the ocean in time. If we try to climb the mountain, the river climbs the mountain, it will never reach. So we should not go against our natural innate abilities. This is what Lord Krishna is saying. And if you perform those karmas according to your innate abilities, you will be worshipping the Supreme. And if you can detach yourself by performing these karmas, detach from the world, and your inner instrument, which is man, buddhi, ahankar, and chit, if it remains unaffected by the world and by the karmas you are performing, then you attain niskriyata, and that siddhi means you are reaching moksha. So this is a very important section of chapter 18. I will conclude it here, and then we will continue next week. I will be away because of my social engagement. So I'm sorry, I will not be able to. Uh, we will not be able to join on next Saturday. But then after that, we'll continue and continue on our journey. Thank you very much.